Hello everyone, thanks for joining Fade Business Systems Group webinar today. This is our SugarCRM versus Salesforce webcast. I'd like to thank you for investing your time and attending our webcast today. My name is Jesse Heller. I'm the Marketing Director at Fade Business Systems Group. I'm going to be serving as the moderator for today's webcast for the presenter, whom is David Hyman. He's our Account Executive at Fade BSG. David, are you there? Can you hear me?
Jesse, I am here. I can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. We're so happy to have you here today, presenting to our audience, Sugar versus Salesforce. Today's webinar, we're going to go through, we're going to show you some cool stuff, and it's meant to be interactive. So if you have a question at any time, feel free to drop it into the chat box. I'll be monitoring those as David goes. And we're happy to address questions as they come in. No need to wait till the end. So if anything pops up, please feel free to ask away. So with that, I will pass it to you, David, excuse me, and we hope everyone enjoys it. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks, Jesse. Guys, everybody, welcome to the SugarCRM versus Salesforce Throwdown. Appreciate everybody's attendance today. A little bit of background about myself. I am sales certified in both SugarCRM and Salesforce. I have experience selling both. With Sugar in particular, I've been part of the SugarCRM partner community since 2011. Feel very strongly about Sugar. I feel like it is the best CRM system on the market, and SugarCRM are the innovation leaders, and I hope to leave you with those thoughts here as we progress through the demo. Everybody's favorite slide, the agenda slide. We're going to kick things off a little bit about Fade BSG. I'm going to try and get through the deck as quickly as possible and right into the demo, guys. A few comparison basics. Those comparison basics are going to include deployment options, programming languages, a quick view of the third-party app stores, and customization options. For the live demo will be a non-biased demo, and by non-biased, I mean biased. I work for a SugarCRM partner. I believe that unequivocally Salesforce and SugarCRM are the two leaders in the market. But I think that because they focus solely on CRM and not an entire platform, that Sugar has a few advantages that Salesforce does not, a few of which I will focus on today. Pricing and total cost of ownership examples are going to follow the demo, and then we're going to get into a Q&A. Kicking things off about Fade BSG, Fade Business Systems Group. We have 25 years of experience as a service provider in the software industry. We have more than 500 SugarCRM clients and have completed almost 2,000 SugarCRM projects. In 2015, we were selected as SugarCRM's Elite Global Partner of the Year, and I imagine it'll be more of the same in 2016. We are partners with QuickBase, NetSuite, Sage, Acton, and a host of other software vendors with years of experience across the platforms. All of our programming and support for all of the work that we do is here locally in our headquarters in California. We also have offices in Austin, which is where I am, offices in Atlanta and Philadelphia. While we focus solely on Sugar as our CRM product, we also have extensive accounting, ERP, and marketing experience. And as I alluded to earlier, there are thousands of successful CRM, accounting, ERP implementations and deployments. The integrations for ERP marketing that you see listed there is on the next slide. Go over it briefly. These are all integrations that we have built with SugarCRM that have been productized and are plug and play. Those include our most popular with QuickBooks, also with NetSuite ERP, Jira, ShoreTel, Dropbox, and a host of other integrations. Before we get into the demo, going to go over some very basic differences and similarities between the two. And we're going to start with deployment options because it seems to be one of the biggest differentiators between the two. Both SugarCRM and Salesforce are going to be available in an on-demand multi-tenant architecture, which is going to be by default. With Salesforce, you can only be deployed on their cloud. With SugarCRM, you can deploy on-premises or with a third party. Some of the advantages of an on-premise deployment, and there are many, first and foremost would be data security. Information stored on a public cloud is going to be beyond the control of your company, and excuse me. There's also regulatory compliance issues. There's business flexibility issues. So, for example, organizations across the board are going to may need the freedom to implement systems and architectures that are going to address their business needs. When you're deployed on a public cloud, some of that may not be available to you. Some of those business needs may be performance, price, scalability, all things that when you deploy on premises or with a third party like your SugarCRM partner, like Pane, are going to evolve and change. And you have, excuse me, there are more advantages to being at least having the option to deploy on premise or with a third party. Support is going to be very similar across the board. Phone, email, and a support portal are available through both systems. That being said, it's more expensive with Salesforce. Response time, because of the size of the organization, tends to not be as quick as it is with SugarCRM. And unlike Salesforce, all of SugarCRM support is stateside. That's all American support. And for phone support, you'll be speaking with somebody here in America. Customization options, another big differentiator between the two. Most CRMs, most customers of a CRM are going to extend the functionality of that CRM, or at least the option to do that is there. With Sugar, you can do that through the source code. As an open source, excuse me, as an open source software platform, access to the code base is given to everybody that purchases SugarCRM, and with that access to the source code, you can extend it, you can customize and extend the functionality of Sugar to include integrations with third-party software providers. With Salesforce, that customization is going to use a proprietary language, which you see there below, Apache, or you can extend the functionality of Salesforce through their Force.com application, excuse me, the Force.com app environment. The problem with the Force.com app environment is it makes it very, very difficult to get your information, to get your data outside of Sugar, outside of Salesforce. So if you do decide to leave Salesforce or leave your CRM, Salesforce makes it quite a bit more difficult than you can when you are using Sugar. Sugar is written in PHP, which is the most popular programming language in the world. Salesforce is written in a proprietary language called Apache. The limitations that you see there, to be a little bit more clear, a little vague there, the limitations are alluding to a whole host of things, from the ability to create custom fields, which is limited in Salesforce to 500, that no such limit exists inside of SugarCRM. Other limitations inside of Salesforce include API calls. So if you are building an integration with Salesforce, and let's say QuickBooks or your ERP, every time information is going one way or the other, it's going, your system is going to make an API call. You're limited to the amount of API calls that you can make using Salesforce until they start charging you for more. And we'll dig into that a little bit further when we get to our total cost of ownership examples. But all of those limitations are done across the board where Sugar is concerned. Price, huge difference, and we'll dig into it again later in the total cost of ownership. But for now, let's dive right into the demo. So let me get out of Microsoft PowerPoint, and I'm going to kick things off with Salesforce. So this version of Salesforce that you are looking at is Salesforce Lightning. Salesforce released Lightning at the beginning of last year to replace what most people know as Salesforce Classic. I think in doing so, I think that Salesforce lost one of their largest competitive advantages over Sugar. Despite their need to update the UI and join the rest of us in HTML5 and a prettier user interface, I think their competitive advantage of familiarity amongst sales users was lost, and with it a very large competitive advantage that they had. With that having been said, let's dig into exactly what we're looking at here. So when you log into Salesforce, like any CRM, the first thing you're going to see is your dashboard. You should, inside here, Salesforce, your quarterly performance, the assistant here on the right. The assistant is going to keep you aware of any opportunities that haven't had any activities, things that you are behind on and that need your attention. So it's an intelligent assistant, very cool feature, and a part of Lightning that they didn't have in Salesforce Classic is the ability to hover over to hover over certain objects while you're in the system. That's going to provide you an overview of what you are hovering over. A cool new feature, but something that I think Sugar pulls off a little better than Salesforce does, and we'll dig into that one as soon as I open Salesforce. Another cool thing here at the bottom is you're going to see a newsfeed inside of Salesforce. That newsfeed is going to be updated and it's going to refresh with accounts that are inside of your system. So any accounts that you have in your instance of Salesforce are going to be recognized by Salesforce, and they'll start populating the newsfeed with relevant news stories about the accounts that you have here inside of Sugar. See here, if I scroll right, it's constantly being refreshed and updated, and something very similar exists inside of Sugar. Scrolling down below, upcoming events, today's tasks. Excuse me, let me go right back to home. Didn't need to click there. I should have pointed out here at the beginning, your home page is very customizable and configurable. So if I wanted to remove these dashlets, then it would just be as simple as editing the page here. And go back to where I just was. Give it just a moment to load. Okay, so here at the top are very similar to Sugar are going to be all of your objects. In SugarCRM, these are modules. In Salesforce, they are objects. Just click on a lead object, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take you from a very quick lead to cash example of being able to create a lead, attach it to an account, and then I'm going to do the same thing inside of Sugar. Creating a lead inside of Salesforce. First thing it's going to ask me to do is it's a new lead. I'm going to be working this lead, so I'm going to change the status to working. Thing to point out here, just like in most CRMs, every field here is completely configurable, so it's going to give you the information that you need when you're creating a lead. And for the sake here, we are going to create Jack Smith, who has no suffix, but he is a senior director product partnerships. Let's say Jack works for, let's choose a better company than Nike. Let's go with Apple. Industry, technology. Let's give Jack. What was Jack's last name? Jack's last name was Smith, so Jack.Smith at apple.com. One of the cool things that Salesforce added is the ability to automatically populate the address fields based on the company the company ties to the lead. Click save, or I can save and create a new lead record, but I'm going to go ahead and save and then go right to the lead. New inside of Salesforce CRM Lightning is a progress bar or ribbon at the very top, which is very similar to something that you see inside of Microsoft Dynamics CRM, and it's similar to a new feature called the customer journey inside of SugarCRM, which is much more feature rich and it's very cool and something I look forward to showing you guys. Here at the top, basic information that you're always going to see. This is your business card information, company, title, phone, email. If I click on the email, I can configure my system to an external or an internal email. Scrolling down and looking at what else is in this lead record. So you've got activity, chatter, and detail. So a little bit different than the old way of doing things inside of Salesforce, where there would be sub-panels here, and I'd be clicking to add a log, to log a call or task from there. Here, everything is at the top and in tabs. So if I want to log a call here, just call with Jack. This was a great call. So this was a great call. It's going to relate it automatically to this lead record. I'm going to click save. You can also have a new task. A new task may be a follow-up detail or something that I'm waiting up on from him. An event is always going to be a meeting. An email, well, it's not configured, but I'd be able to send an email directly from here, very similar to other CRMs. If there were any duplicates once I created this lead, Jack Smith may have lots of duplicates, but in this system he doesn't. If he did, the Salesforce would show me that right there. It also, you saw as soon as I clicked save, Salesforce pulled all of the news related to Apple from here. I'm going to convert the lead. So as most of you know, and you're on the phone, a typical CRM process is a lead's going to be an unqualified prospect. Once you qualify that prospect, you're going to convert him and attach an opportunity, which is what you're selling then. Quickly go through the process in here because we're going to go through something similar inside of Sugar. Let's cancel that out. To convert the lead here, I'm just going to, it's going to ask me to go through this progress bar. For the working stage, it's going to keep you apprised of the things that I need to do in this stage, and that's all. Everything's going to be below, and there's inline editing if I need to change anything. But I've completed the status, so I am going to mark the working stage as complete, and it's going to take me to nurture. For the sake of expedience, I am going to mark this status as complete as well, and it's automatically going to prompt me to convert the lead. If I convert the lead, it's going to obviously be qualified by definition. It's going to assign myself the record owner, and it's going to create a new account called Apple. If there's already an Apple in the system, it's going to look for duplicates as soon as I convert it. For an opportunity name, we'll just do, go with 150 seats of enterprise. I'm going to convert this lead, and when I convert the lead, it's going to do a couple things. It's going to convert the lead into a contact. That lead at that point becomes a little bit of a background information, and it's going to convert him to the primary contact at Apple by default, since he'll be the only one. When I click convert, give it just a second, and then it's going to give me the opportunity to either go back into the contact record, into the account record, or straight into the opportunity. I'm going to go to the account record to give you an idea of what you're looking at when you're viewing and when you're at the record view inside of inside of Salesforce. At the top, same type of information that you saw when we were looking at a lead. Everything you see here, related news, very similar across the board. Instead of something that's new here, instead of your activities going, you saw when we were looking at a lead record, all of the activities and tasks and meetings were down here. Now they're on the side in a very Facebook look kind of feel, where you're going to be able to scroll through, create task events and log calls, and the history is going to be associated here on the right-hand side in the timeline. You can also filter the timeline here by either a date range or certain activities. I see, so lots of Jacks at Apple, Jack Johnson, Jack Smith, your contacts are down here. You can create a new one from here. Opportunities are both listed here, both 150 seats of enterprise, so there's a little bit of duplication there. And the subpanel down here, pretty configurable, but out of the box, it's going to show you cases, notes, contracts, and opportunities associated with, associated with this record inside of the Salesforce. So if I click on the details tab here, that's going to show me a little bit more about Apple. Here, the type of prospect that they are, I can change that from a prospect if they were to convert an opportunity and we were to sell them at their 150 seats of SugarCRM or Salesforce, whatever it may be. They would then become a customer, and click Save. Going back into the account record for just a second, I want to show you here, related, pull up one of our contacts, Jack Johnson here. You'll see that as you progress along the opportunity life cycle, some of the information, your Rolodex information that you see under the details here, becomes a little bit less important. And what they're going to focus on is they're going to focus on the opportunity to close business with this contact, and a little bit less on some of the Rolodex information that you see here on the right, although it is important, it just hides it a little bit. Again, here on the right, all of your activity is going to be recorded, and it's going to roll up to the account level. You have new tasks, events, and emails, all going to stay on the right-hand side as you progress. Very high-level overview, guys, of creating a lead record in Sugar, attaching it, in Salesforce, attaching it to an account, and converting that opportunity. Want to move over into Sugar and show you a few of the same things, but where there's a couple particular differentiators. Before I do that, Jesse, do we have any questions up until this point?
We had a quick question. So the question is, they're asking, they want to receive data through their open API every 20 seconds. How would Salesforce or Sugar handle that? Would it be a push-pull, and what are the costs associated with that?
It would be a push-pull. The costs associated with it would be dependent, right? So inside of Salesforce, depending on the addition of Salesforce that you have, there's going to be, after the first 500 API, they've changed it recently with CRM mining, but after X amount of API calls, you're going to be charged for them. If they're every 20 seconds, it can get extraordinarily, if not prohibitively expensive. Inside of Salesforce, and both, I want to point out that both have REST and SOAP APIs to integrate with third-party software platforms. I do want to point out that if you're using Sugar, those API calls are unlimited. Any bidirectional data sync between Sugar and a third-party software platform can be made every 5 seconds, 20 seconds, you name it. There are no additional costs associated. As for the process, pulling out the information, that's just through a direct API integration, if I understand the question correctly.
Great, thanks, David. That's all for now. If there's a follow-up, I will pop in and let you know.
Cool. Moving over to Sugar, and we're going to do a lot of the same things, guys. But when you look in Sugar, when you pull up Sugar, you're going to have a dashboard very similar to Salesforce. And again, what I want to drive away here is that these two systems are very similar. But Sugar's got some really cool stuff that I'm going to focus on that Salesforce does not have. So that it's going to be a little bit of a different flow. And a few things that I want to point out in particular. Here, so you log into Sugar, you're presented with a dashboard, completely configurable. Each one of these dashlets was created simply by editing my dashboard. Most dashlets are going to allow me to choose and look at numbers associated with me, myself, and then my team, because I'm logged in as Jim, Sales Manager. What I can do here is, if I'm looking at a dashboard of my top sales opportunities, I can filter from this quarter, next quarter. I can also drill down and scroll over each of these opportunities, and if I want to, I can drill down, and it's going to take me right back to that opportunity. So here, for example, Jim Brennan, this is a likely 117K opportunity. If I click that, it's going to take me into the opportunity itself. This arrow here at the top left is going to show me a host of things. It's going to show me, give me direct access to my most recently viewed records. It's going to show me also all of the dashboards I have available to me, and I can create as many if I want, or I can delete them all and have a single dashboard. Before I dig into some of the other dashboards here, I want to show you a little bit more on this page. So let's scroll down. Other options for your dashlets. You can have a list view dashlet. So here, as a sales guy, when I log into Sugar, the first thing I'm going to want to see are my forecast, and making sure that I'm up to date with keeping up with my forecast, that things that are likely to close are, and I want to see that information as soon as I log in. Whether or not they were my top 10 sales opportunities as a manager or myself, that's going to be viewable, and that's important to me. Same thing with a pipeline, which I can drill down into, and I can change it. Excuse me. I can switch from one quarter to another, change the stage, but the information, let's go back here. And then here on the left, there's a list view of all of my opportunities. I want to point out how quickly configurable this is. So for example, that list view is of particular importance to me, and I use that for a lot of different dash lists in my instance of Sugar. What that list view is going to show you, if I click up here and I go to list view, I'm able to look at I have access for a list view from every single module that's here inside of Sugar. I'm going to go with, for example, I'm going to start, if I want all of my leads to be the first thing I look at when I log into Sugar. Those columns, email is not that important to me. The user date modified is not. I'm going to want to look at more than 5. I'm going to go create 10. I can have that auto refresh every 1 to 30 minutes, or I can just leave it off and then have to refresh the page manually if I want to be updated. But I will update it every 10 minutes. I'm going to click save, and now I've got a dash list that's going to show me a list view of all of my leads. Click save. Scroll up, very similar, just like I did over inside of Salesforce. We'll take a look at the lead records. I'm going to go down, just scroll through and filter my favorites, which is very easy to do. Just click favorites. I have none. So let's go back to all leads. So the information that I wanted to point out earlier, that there were some key differences between Sugar and Salesforce. So if I'm here in home, actually, let me go right back there. Go back home. So here, when I was on the home page inside of Salesforce, I point out that I can hover over different objects, and it's going to show me a few pieces of information. If there was something that Sugar did very similarly, but in a more that presents more information. The way that Sugar does the same thing is there's a preview button next to the right of just about every record throughout Sugar. By clicking preview, that's going to open up a sidebar there on the right. It's going to show me a whole host of information that's related to that record. It's going to tell me whether or not that record is converted, which I can see there, but it's also going to show the website, anything that's associated with that lead, all of the activities that's there on the right. I can also, from the same place, I can edit, I can unfollow this record, or I can delete it. This preview pane is going to be available throughout Sugar, and I'm going to point it out a few times. But let's go ahead and, very similarly, just like we did in Sugar, go ahead and create a lead. Instead of inside of Salesforce where you had a new window pop up, inside of Sugar, you're going to have a drop down. It's not going to take you away from where you are. I'm going to go ahead and once more create Jack Johnson, whose title is Director of Sales. 512-555. Let's see. Let's give Jack an email address at apple.com using the same example. Website, of course. I'm not sure exactly. Oh, whoops, there we go. Click save. Very similar as we viewed previously. It's going to then take me back to the screen I was just on, which was my list view in my leads module. Click on leads. Let's go take a look at Jack. At the top here, business card information. What's most important when I look at Jack? I see immediately, just like he handed me his business card, Jack is Director of Sales. His phone number, whether or not I can call him, and then tags. If I click on show more, some more information, if I want to click his primary address, I can fill that out here and it'll automatically copy it over to an alternate or billing address I want to. You'll see here also throughout every record in Sugar, you have your intelligence pane or your sidecar. Because we just created Jack, there's no information here on the right, so let's take a look at a lead that does have information there. Same one. Okay, so I created Jack Johnson earlier and converted him before we got on the phone today. So I'm going to go from here back to Jack. The conversion process is very similar. I'm going to convert Jack. Going to do the same thing. I'm going to have the opportunity to create a contact. The lead's going to go from a lead to a contact upon conversion. I'm going to be able to create an opportunity. It's going to create an account. You'll see that it found a duplicate right away. I created Jack Johnson earlier. As soon as I wanted to convert him, it found that that Jack Johnson had been created previously and wants to know if this is the same Jack Johnson. In this instance, it absolutely is. So I'm just going to go to select contact. I can either ignore it and create Jack Johnson as a new contact, or I can select the contact, and because that is jack.johnson@apple.com, I'm going to go ahead and just select that current contact that was there. Account, one duplicate found. No need to create another Apple inside the system, so I'm going to go ahead and click select that account as Apple. There's an opportunity, one duplicate found. That opportunity, select that, save and convert. Again, guys, very similar process in both instances, but as soon as this takes me to, so let's go to the lead rec, or to the business card, click on the account Apple. So let's take a look here on the right-hand side, something that I think is very cool, something that's, that you'll see inside of Sugar that you do not see inside of Salesforce. And that's the information that's going to be presented to you that you've got access to right away without having to dig into anything. When I click on Apple, I'm going to, well, first there's an arrow right here if I want to view my intelligence pane, which of course I do. Doing the right's going to show me a lot of relevant information. Right away I see the opportunities that are associated with this account. So there's one that's active and it's worth 117K. There are, remove that case here. If we had any cases that were submitted by Apple employees either through a portal or through the phone, we would have those cases listed there. Planned activities, if they're on, excuse me, if there are none here, nothing planned, but you'll see if we scroll down and look at our history, we'll see that the call here on the, excuse me, on the left was held, and it is going to automatically appear there in the history on the right-hand side. With all, similar to the dash list, when you are on your homepage or on your dashboard inside of Sugar, you're able to drill down and look at different time frames. And I can see all of my history associated with this account, as well as the team's history, if there were other users that were assigned to any of the opportunities or records inside of this account. Instead of on the right-hand side where I've got a Facebook look and feel and I'm scrolling and scrolling and looking at my activity history, here on the left-hand side inside of Sugar, Sugar handles that with subpanels. The subpanels are, I can move around the subpanels. As a user inside of SugarCRM, I am empowered to do a little bit more than I am inside of Salesforce. And that could be a lot of things in this instance, as simple as being able to move any side panels around. That's not going to affect any other users except for me. Here at the top, I'm going to scroll through opportunity. Got my opportunities here at the top. No meetings. Tasks. Let me go back to the lead record for just a moment. Okay. Here on the right, getting back into the intelligence pane. Some of the other information that I will have access to if I wanted to. Very similar again to what we were looking at there at the dashboard. And again, I want to point out this is not the dash list and the availability to quickly have access to information throughout the entire instance and through every record that's inside Sugar is not something that you're going to see in Salesforce. And the dash lists are particularly high among those. And so when I'm here in the intelligence pane, I want a dash list. I want to have more information at my fingertips. I'm going to click where I just let you on the right, and I'm going to add another dash list. And just for an example, we'll take a Google Maps. Let's see. Well, that was for the contact. Google News is going to search for whether it's a contact or the account record, very similar to what we saw there in Salesforce a little bit earlier. I can see the same news information you see presented to me here. A few of the other things I want to show you, both Salesforce and Sugar have mobile apps, which we're going to dig into in here in just a moment. That was requested earlier, but I wanted, before I do that, there's a very cool new feature, two of them inside of Sugar that I want to make sure to show you, and that's totally different from something that's offered inside of Salesforce. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a lead, and what that is that's called a customer journey. Very similar to the progress bar. If we go back here inside of leads, I open up any of these leads. You'll see the progress bar that we alluded to earlier and that we reviewed earlier. What Sugar does, that's a little bit different and much more powerful. Let's go ahead and close that, is the customer journey. A customer journey is going to be a list of steps that's most relevant to this type of record and the process involved to getting that record from open to close. So for example, if I have if Jack Johnson is he works for a software company or a technology company, but let's go to, he works for software business to business. The customer journey for the software business to business, for software B2B customer, is going to be different than the customer journey for a nonprofit B2C company. I'm going to click plus, the plus sign right there, and then right below that it's going to populate the customer journey. Where did it go? All right, so close that. We got two of them here. I'm going to delete one because I think I just delete that, confirm. Guys, give it just a second to load here. All right, so let's take a look at Jack Johnson's customer journey as a software business-to-business lead. Similar, again, going over here, very basic progress bar that's just new, it's converted, and it's only available in leads. But while we're in the lead record inside of Sugar, you'll see that this is much more detailed. It's entirely configurable, and every step of the process along the way, it's going to ask me what exactly does this process entail? What do I need to do as a sales guy in order to make sure that this lead converts? First thing here I did was identify a business lead. So if I click that check mark, now that is complete. Give it just a second to turn green here. All right, there we go. Next, so identifying the defining event for software. So I can either preview what exactly that defining event may be. I can start it if I want to put it in progress, or I can say that, you know what, for Jack it's not applicable. So go ahead and say that identifying the defining event for Jack is not available, and it's going to move me on to the next step. All of which we want to, again, point out, completely customizable, and these are just templates, your software B2B. If it's, and these customer journeys are available throughout the system. So for example, if I were to convert Jack Johnson, and now I have an implementation project for him, I can create an implementation project journey where it can be everything from requirements, gathering requirements, to providing documentation along the way, making sure that who's ever in charge of that record or who has that job is kept apprised of exactly what he needs in order to close it out. And as a manager or a supervisor, I can always come in here and see exactly where we are in the process, whether it is a lead process or it is a project. It's all going to be here through different styles of customer journey. To show you how one is different from the other, here we've got the B2B. We're going to go into a opportunity record. Let's say for a software sale, I've got a different type of journey than if I was going to convert a lead. Now I've got an opportunity. I want to create a new journey. So for him, again, these are Well, everybody will have to, let me see. Okay, so here's an example of an onboarding customer journey. So let me click up there, and so let's say XYZ funding has just come on. Here's an example where my customer journey for XYZ funding is going to be a little bit different than it was for a B2B software customer. Again, click, check off, complete each item as we go through, guys. All of a sudden, I look down at my clock and I see that it's 1:42. So I'm going to go ahead and show you one more thing before a very, very high-level overview of each mobile app, and then we're going to dig into a Q&A and answer any questions that you guys have. In order to show you this, I'm going to log out as Jim. I'm going to log back in as an admin, and I'm going to show you how to create admin ASDF. Okay, cancel that out. So logging in as the admin, I've got business process rules and process definitions. So Sugar incorporated something very, very cool this year into their enterprise edition of SugarCRM, and that is a business process manager that is much more extensive and robust than the previous workflow engine. And what that's going to allow me to do, and for example, is create different workflow rules in a drag and drop environment. So an example of a business process here would be lead assignment by U.S. state, and this is one I created earlier. So if I wanted to, as leads were being entered in the system, and leads can get into the system, whether they're uploaded manually, whether they're entered one by one, web to lead forms, you name it. But what I want to do with this lead assignment rule is I want to take a new lead and I want to make sure that it's routed to whoever represents the territory in which that state and the lead came from is in. So here, I'm going to show you how I did that. So now I'm going to design, confirm. So what you're looking at here, one of the things that I'm most proud about at Sugar, and something that absolutely differentiates it from Salesforce. And it's another example that I want to point out is things that Sugar is doing that Salesforce is not. And what I'm going to hear very, very beginning, first thing I did, leads, I created, the first thing you can do is have your leads here in the USA. So that's how I'm going to, excuse me, identify what the event is. And here's the rule. If I click settings, the action type. So here I've created a business rule. I can also have it to where the action is to assign the record to a different user, round robin it, or to change a field. But what I want to do here is I've created a business rule. What's going to happen is, so once a lead is entered into the system, it's going to go here to a gateway. That's going to then route it to one of 3 different reps, into my southeast rep, my southeast rep, my northeast rep, or my southwest rep. If I had a new territory that I want to add, it would be pulling him down here. It would be saying, let's go to the Pacific Northwest. If all of a sudden I've got a new sales rep or I've got business opportunities out on the Pacific West Coast, let's do. Let's see, you must have an out, okay, I see. Well, hey guys, instead of going through the entire flow process, I wanted to make sure that I had time to show you the visual process, the business process manager, how easy it is to drag and drop and create the workflow rules, whether it is on save, whatever the operator may be, whether it's an and or operator. Some of the business process managers, excuse me, some of these use cases for the business process manager can be automated emails, workflow templates, lead routing, round robin assignments. Those workflow rules can be kicked off on a save. They can be kicked off after a certain amount of time. All completely customizable and all very easy to do with just a drag and drop interface. Also, while I have it up, I want to make sure that I can show the Sugar mobile application, which is very cool, which is absolutely free of charge for everybody that is using Sugar here. So to
David, we got a few questions queued up, so when you're ready to take some questions, we are ready to fire them away at you.
Yeah, fire them off, and while you're doing that, I will pull up the mobile application here. As I scroll past all of my games, I'm going to pull up SugarCRM. Jesse, before I dig into the mobile app, what do you got for me?
So question number one, how many opportunities with associated revenue line items can Sugar versus Salesforce handle effectively? Will they both work with millions of records, for example?
They both won't work with millions of records. You have a limit on Salesforce and Sugar. You do not. They both handle the line item opportunities. Sugar is out of the box, and Salesforce is only out part of the Ultimate Edition. But as far as how many they can handle, Salesforce, there's a limit. Sugar, it is unlimited.
Great. And the next question, can I create several databases that can update the main database, i.e. regional databases that will feed the corporate database, for example?
If we have any resources on the phone, Jesse, that are more technical than I am, they may be better equipped to answer that. I'm not sure I really understand the question.
Sure, we can take that offline, Paul, and we can get you some help answering that one. And then the follow-up, in Sugar, they didn't see an option to see all history since contact setup, for example. Is that something that you can show?
Let's go back. Yeah, sure. Let me see. So it was in a what record, Jesse? A lead record?
Contact.
Right? Contact, all right. And so once I'm in a contact record, the question was?
How to see all history.
Sure. So a few different ways to look at all your history. So the easiest way, the quickest way is just going to be on your intelligence pane there on the right. That's going to give you an overview of the history. But if I want to look at all of the history associated with the record, it's going to be down here below in the subpanel. Let me close that out. Any email that I sent is automatically going to be archived into Sugar here. Excuse me. Any tasks, meetings, calls that I log are going to be held here. So if I create a call, this is a call. It was outbound. Call. You'll see here on the top, this call is scheduled or be held or canceled. If it's scheduled, then it's not going to be part of the history. It's going to be part of a future task. And I'll show you if I click save. It's going to be, you'll see that it's scheduled. If I edit and I click that to held, it'll go, it's now been held. But as far as the history is concerned, it would just be all, they're located inside the subpanels. You can extend the functionality of Sugar pretty easily by creating a activities module and then having every activity roll up into a single activities module of which you can display the subpanel here at the bottom. Multiple ways of doing it, but all of the activity associated with any account with any record inside of Sugar is going to be located there at the bottom in the subpanel. Is the easiest way to access it.
Great, thanks. That's all the questions we had for now.
Cool. Being up against it, I'm going to show you very quickly, just because it's free and it's very cool, the mobile app that is available for Sugar. You'll see that if I'm on site, this is an iPad app. The exact same application is available for free on your iPhone. It's going to switch. You've got your dashboard. It's going to have my activities, tasks, meetings. It's going to replicate all of the information that's available to me inside of Sugar with all the same rules and permissions. If I click on accounts, I can scroll through any account. I can look at all of the accounts. I can look at just my accounts. I can scroll and filter by all the options that you see listed here. I'm going to go ahead and click on account record. I can edit that from here. You'll see in the top right, I've got the most relevant pertinent information. If I click the down arrow, it's going to show me anything that I couldn't see beforehand. I can also follow and favorite a record from here. I can also pull this location on any map inside. Let's go back to SugarCRM. Scroll up there. I can see any opportunity metrics inside the mobile app, just like in the intelligence pane on SugarCRM. I think this is awesome. If I'm pulling up to a customer meeting, and I've got my iPad, I can have very quickly at my fingertips all the exact same information that I did using the full desktop app. And if I wanted to look at if I wanted to view this information in a desktop app, pretty easy to do. Going from, oops, need to log back in there. Going very quickly, I can go right in, press that button. It's going to take me right to the record here, right to my desktop, the desktop view. With that said, Jesse, if you've got no questions, then I'm going to bring this back here, and I'm going to go over some quick pricing examples.
Couple more questions. Couple more questions. Are you aware if the mobile app is available on BlackBerry iOS?
I do not believe that it is.
Okay. And one question was about the workflows. You mentioned Salesforce isn't doing workflow automation. Can you elaborate on that? Because someone thought that they actually saw something that in enterprise Salesforce was doing that. And just as a quick follow-up, I think Sugar did recently add BlackBerry iOS to mobile. So
did they? Okay.
There's that.
Well, then that answers that. I'm glad to be wrong there. Regarding the process manager, I know that that Salesforce has a workflow engine built into it. If there is a graphical user drag and drop interface to create those rules inside of Salesforce, then I have certainly not seen it. Was that the question, Jesse? Yeah, was that it, Jesse, regarding the same type? Was there a workflow engine rule or the visual drag and drop that they had asked about?
You got it. That works. That works. Okay. Finally, one final question. How many visual images can be shown per screen? Someone had thought that they believe it was only 2 on Salesforce. And how does that compare to Sugar?
I've never been asked that, Jesse. We're going to have to take that offline and allow me to follow up with whoever asked.
Okay, great. And then one final piece on the BlackBerry iOS. Blackberries that can access the Android App Store can download it. So there you go. We can wrap that one up. And that's all the questions for now.
Okay, cool. While we're up against it, guys, just a few minutes left. Addition pricing, without digging into too many of the differences between the professional enterprise edition for SugarCRM and Salesforce, both make it a lot easier to recommend the enterprise edition. With Sugar, if workflow rules, line item opportunities, SQL reporting, sandbox environments, all available in the enterprise edition. Same thing with territory management, feature parity with Salesforce.com, except for that the price difference. Total cost of ownership examples, just a few very quick ones just to give you an idea of just exactly how much more you're paying for Salesforce. And again, considering the feature parity, guys, and I hope to have driven this point across, and we didn't have too much time. But given the feature parity, Sugar's place as an innovation leader, it really does remain, I suppose, remains to be one of the great mysteries of the world, why people purchase Salesforce. But a few examples here at the top of exactly the difference between the cost of ownership and some pretty basic examples. Example one, 25 users, nothing else. Deploying it, you're implementing Sugar, you're not paying for anything except for the software of either Sugar or Salesforce. 25 users over the course of 3 years, you're paying almost 2.5 times as much. You've got $135,000 for a very basic deployment of a CRM in this example, and that can be cost-prohibitive for a company of that size. For as you get bigger and you're moving up into a slightly bigger deployment, still, while a smaller example of a company-wide deployment of a CRM. This example is just 150 users, a basic QuickBooks integration and a marketing integration, a marketing automation integration. So the example here, I think that SugarCRM's integration with Acton is awesome, and that's the price that I listed there for the 21.6. For Salesforce, I listed Pardot. Salesforce purchased Pardot a few years ago, and is available for $2,000 a month, and Acton is $600 a month. So you'll see here in this example, over the course of just 3 years, for another relatively small to medium-sized deployment, we're looking at a difference of about $450,000 over the course of 3 years. You're averaging about $115,000 a year difference when both are doing, when both are very similar and they're going to accomplish a lot of the same thing. And in more instances than not, Sugar is going to do it in a little, at least from my experience, is going to do it in a way that is more innovative and certainly a lot less expensive. With that said, Jesse, I guess if we've got no more questions, then we can call it here. I'll follow up with the 2 questions I did not have the answers to. But otherwise, guys, Jesse, if that's it, thank you everybody so much for your time this afternoon.
That's it. Thanks, David. Just a reminder, everyone, I'll send out a copy of the recording as well as the deck slides in the next day as soon as we get the recording processed. And we'll be in touch in the future. Thank you so much for joining, and thanks for investing your time in attending our webinar today. Everyone have a great day.